to this one, 330, this is where you're going to write some .NET apps. So you see how it goes. It's really, really easy. You install Visual Studio. Any version is fine. I'm using the more recent version, 2022, which runs fine on ARM. And so you do have to install the .NET desktop development. This stopped me. I had the C++ environment, and then I couldn't make .NET. I had to go back and reinstall the .NET environment to add it in. Now, so once you have that in there, now you can make a .NET app very easily. So you'll launch Visual Studio. There's Visual Studio. And then you create a new project.
Would the code do the same thing, Visual Studio Code, with the lighter version?
I don't know. I think maybe, but most of the things I've done use the whole Visual Studio. It's a good question. VS Code, I think, is much smaller.
Yeah, it's lighter.
And it's like, I've used it on Linux, where it seems to be little more than just a text editor.
Oh, no, it does a lot of
But
things.
yeah, it does more. Yeah, anyway, it's a good question. You might be able to do some of it. Anyway, so here you can make different things, but the thing we want to make is just a console app, the simplest thing. And your console app.
What's up?
No, it's down here. Here's a console app, but that's the console app running in .NET. That's what I wanted to see, but I expected to see C++. Let me check my instructions. Yeah, if you choose the wrong thing, you're hosed. Console app, it should have C# there as an option, and I think this one works. I don't think there's another one, but normally C# is up there, and it's not here, which disturbs me a little bit. Maybe it's just my window is too small. Not apparently. Let's see if there's another one. Oh, I can go up here. How about C#? And console app.net, there it is, C#. I think this is the one I want. I do want C#. And apparently, I think the other one was wrong. I never saw that one before. But anyway, let's see what this one does. I think it'll work. Let's go next. I'll know when I get, it'll make an app with some default name. It doesn't matter. I can call it console app 2 or 3 because I've done this before. And it'll create a Hello World app just to get you started, which is nice. Instead of just giving you a blank page, it gives you a running app. Although a C# app is one line. Whoa, and that's way too, oh no. Well, yeah, for a console app, that's pretty awful. So I guess I need the other one. I need this one, a project for creating command line application. So let me try that. I think I got the wrong one. So I'm gonna close this and go File, New Project. It's very, and here's ones I used before. There it is, console app C#. It exists. This is the one I used this morning. Not the
recent template that you
yeah, and there it is. Somehow I couldn't find it before. A project, this console is C# Linux and macOS. This is the one. I don't know. There are others. It's very easy to get confused. Wait, this is the one I just used, I think. Let's get rid of this. Okay, and see if I can find it. I wonder if I can select console here. Ah, that might do it. There. Now, this one, or this is the one I did, that's the one I just used that didn't work? Oh, that's C++, right, I want C#. This one appears to have C#. Let's try this one. I think what C# is what I want because C# is easier than C++. Let's see.
C# is just for network, right?
No, they all can do everything, but they're different versions of C. That's what I want. This is the one I like. It's one line. I don't know why. I don't really understand what C# is, but you don't seem to need to import libraries or anything for simple things. Whereas normally C, you have to put a bunch of boilerplate around. So this is Hello World. So you can run it by just clicking this up here, run it. That'll run it in a debugging environment. So here it is building it, compiling it, and here it'll tell you if there were errors. And if there aren't any errors, it will run, and here it is running, opening command line, and it should print Hello World. There it goes. It ran. And now you just click in here and press enter to close it. So that's all it is. It's a Hello World console app. All right, so that just shows that you have .NET installed and it's working and you found your way to C#, which as you can see can be kind of tough. All right, now we're going to make an app that manipulates a string. So here's the replace all the code with this code. So delete the old code, put in the new code. Okay, so now this is going to create a string read a line from the user, and then print out the line it got from the user. So it's going to start with a string 5 letters long, read data from the user, and then print it out. And of course, what I'm trying to see here is a buffer overflow. So if I compile this and run it, it's now waiting for data from me. So if I put in long input, like a lot of A's, like we did in all the other exploits, and then enter, it does not crash. In fact, it just says you said, so it automatically makes the variable bigger as needed. It will not have an overflow, which is why it's not, even though I wrote it in C#, it's running in .NET, and it's a modern framework like Python. It won't fall for this. It doesn't have this buffer overflow garbage where it only reserves 5 spaces and won't add more as needed. It will add more as needed, like all modern languages will.
But it dynamically adjusted?
Yes. So will Rust and Python, any modern language will. Yeah. And so you don't have buffer overflows. However, you can still have a buffer overflow if you really want to. What you do is you use this thing called unsafe code. You have to have a method called unsafe, and then you can do the usual stuff. You can make space for only 10, and you can then put in a longer string and feed it in there. But you have to try pretty hard. In fact, if you make this one, if you put in this code, which does have a buffer overflow vulnerability, and then you try to run it, it will refuse to compile. There were errors. And the error, here it is running, and if I try to, maybe it'll let me, let's see what happens, but I think it's not going to crash. Yeah, it didn't, well, it exited with code 0. Yeah, see, what happens though is I think it noticed this, and you have to tell it that you want to use the unsafe code. It might have remembered from before that I did, but I think it won't. You have to go in the properties and allow unsafe code. And there are command line switches for this in the command line environment, but in .NET you have to dig through menus, visual menus to find them. So I need the properties, general, allow unsafe code. So it is project, properties, general. Okay, and down here someplace is allow unsafe code. Allow unsafe code. It's not on by default, as you would imagine. It shouldn't be. And so now I have to save it, I think, somewhere. I think I have to find a save button, maybe not. I'm not, maybe it'll just take effect. Let me see what my instructions say. Check that box. Yep, okay, then just run it. Okay, so I've done that, so now I'll just run it again. And here it is trying to build it again. And now it's not complaining, it's not popping up an error box. And now when I put in a lot of data, it will have an error. The other one exited with code 0, but this is exiting with a crash. That's the information. It exited with a code of some sort. This is the information about the crashing for what you get it, is some kind of code. So anyway, it does have a buffer overflow to some extent. And anyway, all right. And so then, now you can also make graphic projects, of course, and this is what people mostly do. And for that, you just need to choose Windows Form App. So let's try that. File, New Project. Okay, and I want a form app. I wonder if I can just choose it up here. Not obviously. Let's go to All Types, and then look for Windows Form App. That looks pretty good. .NET Windows Form App. Let me go and see if that's the one. Yep, C#. Okay, that's the one. Windows .NET Form App. Let's try that. And again, it will automatically create a default app. And there's all different .NET versions you have to make it for, which, like I say, the same thing with Java. It'll drive you nuts. I choose whatever the default is. So here it is, loading a designer. And now you're going to get a Microsoft type graphical designer, the same kind of designer that I used to use to make forms in Access. So you have this blank form, and you can add things to the form. So you do View Toolbox, View Toolbox. Okay, there's the toolbox, which is taking a while to load. Okay, now in the toolbox I have things I can drag onto that form. And so I want to drag a label control, common controls. I want a label control and call it password. So common controls are here. And here's a label. So put a label on there. Okay. And give it the name password. See, I click inside there. There. Okay. Whoa, okay, I deleted it by accident. Okay, I was trying to delete the letters, but I deleted the whole thing. So I have label, go in there. Okay, then type password, there. Still not listening to me. There, it just took a while. Okay, so now I have the password in there. Now, drag a text box, okay. Text box, okay. Drag one of these and put it in there. Okay, now drag a button and call it enter. Here's a button. Okay, and I'm going to call it enter. And I've typed, and I think it's going to notice eventually. There, okay. So now I made a little thing where you can enter the password and click enter. Now I have to add code. The enter is the only part of it that's active, so double click the enter button, and here's the code. Okay, and so I think I just add this code inside this button one click, which is where it puts me by default. So I just paste in that code, and now text equals top secret win, otherwise fail. So this is now a game, and now I think I just run it. Yep, the green arrow, that should do it. So the green arrow will compile and run. And there it goes, it's done compiling. There it is running, here's my glorious game. So I can put in a password of like AA, and then enter, and it says fail. But if I put in the right password of top secret, then it says win. So, you know, it ain't a very exciting game, but that's the game, and you have the graphics and everything. And that's how you make graphical objects in .NET. So anyway, that's what I wanted to show you, how to make things in .NET. You can see why it's popular. It's very easy. You hardly have to do any coding at all.